Right, comrades, try to get started again as quickly as possible and finish the debate. Gail Campbell, 3 minutes.
I think Gail Campbell from Glasgow North East, and it's not going to be a great surprise to most of you that I'm going to be supporting the position that Tommy's put forward. But I want to say, in particular reference to what Anna was saying, that in my case, it's a very personal reason I have to hold the SNP's feet to the fire, because I'm marrying one of the candidates. But I haven't campaigned for her, much to my chagrin, because I decided to wait until today's party conference where we democratically decided what the party's policy would be on the elections. Is what we said last October, and I've not campaigned or put any party statement out saying how I'm going to vote until we decided today. And I think that would have been the right approach for all comrades to have taken that stance. And I'm quite honestly pissed off that comrades have tried to make a fait accompli without bothering to discuss with us, declare themselves candidates in unrepresentative meetings, while ignoring the fact that we've got really radically changed politics. This is not a normal election, as previously said. The SNP, we can have a long discussion about what the SNP is, but what it certainly isn't is the main boss's party in Scotland. It's not. We've got 3 of them. We've got Labour, Tory and Lib Dem. It's a petty bourgeois nationalist movement which has had a massive influx of working class people who have voted against austerity by voting yes, and who have voted with their feet in their tens of thousands into that party which they think is going to deliver an anti-austerity programme. Now they may be wrong about that. Maybe Anne McLaughlin and people like her won't stand up fully against the cuts. We don't know that till we put them to the test of office and test those illusions out. That's what we need to do. I think socialists have to be there, the ones pointing that out. We need to be making those criticisms, but it's only through the experience of putting the SNP in office that I think it will expose what they're about. The people who are genuinely for the working class and against austerity will stand firm. And I'm quite sure that Anne and many of the other Glasgow candidates that I know personally, they will stand firm. They will vote against austerity. They will vote to abolish nuclear weapons. They will vote for independence of Scotland. They will vote to continue the Scottish people's right to have another referendum. They will vote against austerity measures in England and Wales and Northern Ireland too, by the way. So it's not just for people in Scotland. I also think we have to also have an honest discussion about what the project here is. Because I've read the manifestos carefully, and they are sort of mini manifestos about where we should go as a project. And it's pretty clear that if you're calling for another new party to be built, then you don't really have confidence in the party that you're actually in now. So you're actually calling for a different organisation. I have my doubts about whether somehow we can be that. I'll be honest. I've always been honest about that. But I'm not trying to build another one. I think if you're in an organisation and you want to build something else, then go and build something else. Right. Why are you in this one?
Hi, Trish McLeish, Sheridan Solidarity and Socialist Party Scotland member. I've come here today with mixed views. I'm still, as I entered the hall, I still wasn't sure what I was going to be voting on. I wasn't aware there was going to be a motion from Cardonald. I thought I was maybe coming today to amend the statement in some way. Contrary to maybe some people's opinions, even though I'm in the Socialist Party, I differ in some of my views, and I've got the right to vote differently from the Socialist Party view, even though they are democratic centralists. But equally, I've still got a right to point out that I've got differences with the Cardonald motion. I fully support solidarity. I fully support the building of the working class in Scotland. We need a strong socialist movement in Scotland, and I hope solidarity can be that movement. Tusk, I back Tusk. I'm full of contradictions, by the way. I back Tusk, but I've never been a supporter of the name Tusk, because I think excludes a lot of people who are not a trade union, who are not, don't class themselves as socialists, but are socialist leaning. So I'm not happy with the name Tusk. So that's part of my contradictions. But as a socialist, I can't support the Cardonald motion, and the reason for that is because basically, I scribbled down some notes, but I've not even looked at my notes right because I've just started to rabble. We, as the Cardonald motion, has no mention in it about supporting socialist candidates, right? Tusk is standing socialist candidates, but not just socialist candidates, our comrades that have been part of Solidarity for years and fought for various things, fought for everything. You've got the candidates I'm referring to are Brian Smith, leader of Glasgow City Unison, membership of 10,500 and growing, trade unionists, Angela McCormick, great socialist, anti-war campaigner and trade unionist, who has backed Solidarity the Hill, both of these candidates, for years and years. There has been mentioned by previous speakers about we need to support local, good trade unionists. Chris Stevens was mentioned, I know Chris well because he was a convener at my branch in Unison. I'm not going to say anything against Chris as being a trade unionist, but what it leaves out and what previous speakers have left out is the fact that the role that our own comrades, socialists, are carrying out in the trade union movement. They've got a
time, Tricia.
Oh, sorry, right. I didn't realise, right? So basically, previous speakers have also mentioned that trade union leaderships have got big inflated salaries and this and that. Tusk is about exposing these trade union leaders and changing that so we can get trade unionists who are there for the people and not there for the inflated salaries. That's the whole point. We're opposing the Cardonald motion. I was hoping there was something I could support in it, but I can't because there's no mention about supporting socialists where they are standing.
Margaret.
One of these mouthfuls names Margaret Mary O'Sullivan. Katie Schoolbride. Okay. Right, we're all aware really of how much the referendum did in fact engage people in pubs and schools and bus stops, etc. People were again talking about politics in a way that they hadn't done for years because they'd been mired down in despair and suddenly they felt that there was hope again for them. We saw that by the rush to join political parties. And like a previous speaker, I know a lot of people who joined the SNP that I would believe to be good socialists and who believe in socialist policies. And I believe that this election is in fact a chance to keep hope alive for people. It's an opportunity for us to change Westminster politics and Scotland, to show people in Scotland and Wales that there is a point in voting for smaller parties. Now, okay, it's not going to happen at the general election down south, but it might at the next one. I think it's important to show that previously unelectable parties can be electable. And I think it is vital in any long-term strategy for socialists. The voting system in the general election, being the first past the post, it's not beneficial for people who are socialists. And the SNP has the best chance of success. Now, some people believe that by voting SNP we'll get a Labour government. So, what's the point? But if you follow that logic and you don't vote SNP, you're much more likely to get a Tory government. So therefore, I believe we have to unite our vote. Can you imagine the desolation of the people of Scotland in May the 8th. If they wake up and discover that we didn't choose to send a party that is opposed to Trident to Westminster, it would be appalling. And I agree very much that it is a tactic. It's not about principle, it's about pragmatism, it's about what do we want. We want a just and we want a fair society, and it's about taking small steps to get what we want, rather than trying to take a huge leap where we end up falling into the chasm. Just a couple of wee things. The unity of the No campaign was vital. Philip, I think it was, who said that we need to build an political alternative, and I think the strategy is the best way to do that. And Angela said we can do better, and I believe that if we adopt a strategy, we will do better, and I would urge you to support that motion.
3 minutes.
Alice Sheridan, Cardona Branch. I wasn't going to speak today. It happens so often. God, I can't keep my mouth shut. There are times you can't keep your mouth shut. I can't even, right? First of all, before I actually start, asked you, Speaker at one, said, Cardonald's motion does not mention socialists. You read the last sentence. We emphasise as socialists. And we are like, that's so. This is a very difficult time for all of us, but it's a vitally important one. For me, the soul searching, the heat scratching, not because I'm lousy, but just because of the heat scratching. You see, I'm 77 in a couple of weeks' time, and I have never voted for any party where my whole heart and soul was not in it. And I mean my soul as well, was not in it. I have spoiled my ballot paper on a number of occasions where there was nobody I wanted to vote for. I've just written socialism right across it. I don't think I was spoiling my ballot paper, but the powers that be think I spoiled my ballot paper. This time's different. We must send as many SNP, so what happens, SNP. It could have been another party, but it's SNP. We must send as many as we can down to Westminster, because we have to kick the establishment in the arse. Labour Party is sold out. I go back, we'll talk to somebody down the stairs about it. The miners' strike, all that, how you did. I go back further than that. Does anybody remember Eddie Sharp in the newspaper? Right? The trade union movement didn't stand up for work. All they wanted was trade union rights. That was all. Trade union movement didn't stand up. Labour Party didn't stand up. And that was just at the start of Thatcher's reign of terror. And I remember sitting, I can still see myself sitting and saying, this is the start of a slope, a big, long slope, which is going to take us a long, long time to recover from. So, don't let's, raise Labour to any status. They forgot long ago, Tories forget them, Greens, I don't know, you could do worse than vote a Green, I suppose, But to do a deal with Tusk, where you accommodate the SSP, to me, is obscene. Angela McCord is someone who I have the utmost respect for. I'm not saying that because I'm here.
It's time, Alice.
I have the utmost respect for Angela. In fact, I kind of hope, if she's standing, she will win. I only hope doesn't take votes away from any other Labour back in again. She would be a wonderful candidate. She's courage, integrity. And I can't speak highly enough of Angela. So I find I'm getting a wee bit emotional here because it does make it difficult for me. But I am asking people to support the statement and support O'Donnell's motion. Thank you.
Right, now I'm going to move to the summing up, and I'm going to ask Philip to sum up for the Socialist Party. 3 minutes for each person summing up.
Seconds on the count. Well, first of all, I think it's been an important discussion because I think what we've had is clarity in relation to the different proposals on the table. I think the majority of opinions clearly in favour of the position that Tommy and the executive have put forward, and at least that's clear and that's important. Obviously, we disagree with that fundamentally. We think that this represents a significant shift by Solidarity away from its previous positions, which is in favour of building an alternative, including to the SNP, and including in standing in elections. And I think it is correct what Anne Edmonds said from Edinburgh, other colleagues have said, that you should go to your SNP candidate and ask them, as our motion touches on, are you prepared to vote against all cuts at Westminster, including those of a Labour government, if you prop them up with your 40 or 45 SNP MPs? Ask them that. Also ask them while you're doing that, are you prepared to call on Holyrood to refuse to pass on Tory cuts to the working class people in Scotland? And while you're at it, will you ask the SNP candidates, are you prepared to call on your councillors, including SNP run councillors, are you prepared to stop implementing cuts? And if the answer to that is yes, then I think you should vote SNP. See the number of SNP MPs who will answer yes to those questions? That's the number. 0, none, nada, nothing. That is the response that the SNP candidates will give you in every single case. Now that's even before we go on to whether they'll support the public ownership of privatised gas and electricity companies. That's if you ask them, are you prepared to campaign along with us for the nationalisation of the oil industry? The answer to that will be no in almost every single case. So never mind if you raise the question of increasing taxes on big business. The corporation tax shouldn't be cut, it should be increased. That's what socialists fight for. That's what socialists stand for. Is that on offer from the SNP? No. Are the SNP even offering another referendum in this election? Are they standing on a platform of another independence referendum? No. They're standing for maximum devolution. They're standing for the transfer of powers. So if anybody thinks they're voting to get another referendum, that ain't going to happen either. That may be on the agenda in 2016 for the SNP, which does pose the question, what position will Solidarity take in 2016 in relation to a vote for the SNP? Particularly in the first past the post constituencies, well, they're still implementing cuts and still implementing austerity. So from that point of view, there is a clear difference. I don't think it's tactical, I think it's political, and I think that the Socialist Party cannot, in all good faith, adopt that position or say that we're in favour of that position, particularly as we're launching a general election campaign and standing as part of the Trade Unions and Socialist Coalition, which by the way is Solidarity.
It's time, Philip, you wind up, please.
And from that point of view, I would say that after today, the Socialist Party intends to leave Solidarity. You won't take part in Solidarity anymore until this position changes. Now, as Trish has explained, that doesn't mean that individual Socialist Party members will not remain as part of Solidarity. We don't have a three-line work. But in terms of political support, then Socialist Party Scotland will from today, in good faith, and in that sense with the comrades, and Tommy's a good friend of mine and remains a good friend, but in that sense we cannot politically stand over this decision, and we cannot publicly stand over this decision, and therefore from that point of view we will have to say we have fundamental disagreements, and on that basis we will have to separate ourselves from Solidarity on that basis, which is a disappointing thing, but we feel that on a political principle we have no option but to do that. And that's a negative conclusion to finish my contribution on, but just to say I hope in the future, on the basis of experience, we can come back together with a unified position in favour of building an alternative, not just to the parties of Labour and the Tories, but also to build an alternative against the SNP, because they will not fight for us, and we're going to have to build that alternative ourselves. Thank you.
Thanks, Philip. Lynn, to sum up for the Cardonald motion, please. 3 minutes.
Thanks, Chair. Can I first of all comment on the position that Philip has put forward in terms of the Scottish Social Party of Scotland. It's sad to hear, but when you are part of a democratic organisation and you have a fraternal debate as we've had today, whatever decision is made, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So I'm sorry, Philip, that you want to go, but if that's the position that you're going to take after a democratic debate and discussion and vote, so be it. Then I wish you all well, those of you who decide to, as a platform, decide to resign. Can I just come back on some of the points, the point that Tricia made in terms of the contradictions? There are contradictions there. That's what politics is all about, isn't it? It's about having that dialectical discussion around the contradictions of politics. I have no position but respect for comrades who have decided to stand as Tusk candidates, and I wish them well. But if it comes to the 8th of May, as Tommy had previously said, and we have a position where Margaret Curran's still got her seat, and that's because Tusk candidates took 500 votes away and she gets in with 400 votes, I wonder how people will be feeling the next morning. The point that Philip made with regards to asking SNP candidates about their position in relation to cuts, not anti-austerity, I think there will be a number of them who will say, as Graham pointed out, that yes, they will vote for anti-austerity position, they will vote against Trident and other policies within a Westminster government. Ask yourself this, because the reality is that no Tusk candidate is going to get elected. I don't think anybody is that delusional that they think that they're going to get elected under this system of first past the post. So ask yourself, well, who are the alternatives in your seat? And mostly in the west of Scotland, that would be Labour candidates. Ask them the same question, and I know what the answer will be. It will definitely be a no, because Labour have already voted for austerity cuts. It's going to take a wee bit longer, but they're still coming. They're going to vote to keep Trident. They're going to vote, we hope, against the bedroom tax, but you've got people like Jim Murphy who didn't even have the bottle to turn up to take a position. So I know for definite what their position would be if they were given the opportunity. I will emphasise again, this is a tactical position that our branch have discussed, democratically, have voted on, democratically, have brought to this conference and asked for a discussion on, which we've had, a fraternal discussion, and asked you to support the Cardonald motion. Thank you.
I'm going to ask Tommy to sum up now from the statement, and strictly 3 minutes.
I've asked for the mic quick because this wee bloody timer goes dead quick, and I've put it on so that I just get the same as everybody else. There were specific questions that were asked, Tommy, so I'm going to try and address those questions. One was in relation to solidarity in the past. Solidarity was very, very much involved in the past in supporting the Trade Union Socialist Coalition standing elections, because we've always been involved in trying to build broad left alliances. We've always done that. We've never, because the rider to that question was, instead of voting the SNP as a policy. This isn't a policy. This isn't a policy. It's a tactic. I'm reluctant to say a one-off tactic because I don't know if it will happen again. But it's not a policy. So let's try and get that separated. There was also another question, and I'm sure Eric, because he's a good friend of mine, will accept this answer, and that is that there were no solidarity meetings, campaigning for this particular tactic. The public solidarity meetings took place and I know that Ian was present there, Angela actually was speaking alongside me at one of them, where I made the point at those meetings, this is my position, but the conference will make a decision on whether we go forward with that. So there wasn't a campaign for a particular position, Eric. It was up to this conference to take the decision, and I know that you'll accept that. I do want to say in relation to this whole idea of the vote, you know, as I said earlier, I've stood in a lot of elections and been involved in a lot of elections. I used to say vote Labour. I used to say vote SNL, that was called the Scottish Militant Labour. I used to say vote Scottish Socialist Alliance. I used to say vote SSP. I've said vote Solidarity. I've said vote Tusk. I've said vote no to the EU. And now I'm saying lend your vote to the SNP. For goodness sakes, see if this is really a principle, who you vote for. I've changed my principles a great deal of times here. This isn't a principle. This is a tactic. And I appeal to my comrades. I'm very good friends with the Socialist Party Scotland individuals. I appeal to them to rethink what they're saying here, to walk out of solidarity on the basis of a tactical disagreement and the losing of a tactical discussion, I think is wrong. I think it's short-termism, and I think it's wrong, and I appeal to you comrades to think about it again. I value your contribution, and I value your membership. To think again. Angela made the point about the Greens, and I've got to say I have called for the Greens to stand down as well, Angela, so I'm not just called for the left to stand up, I've called for the Greens to stand down. The recent opinion poll that was conducted that said the SNP could win 42 of the seats. Jim Murphy's seat said they'll hold on to it by 1%. The Greens are predicted to take 3%. Now, the Greens apparently haven't agreed whether they're going to stand or not. But come on, if we could get the Greens to stand down and have Murphy's scalp as well, wouldn't that be worthwhile in relation to the... My finishing point, Tom, is I do hope that you'll vote for the statement. I do hope that you'll vote for the Cardonald branch motion. I oppose the motion from the SPS. I respect those comrades. I think, in shorthand, I'm asking you to, in this election, vote with your head to get rid of the red, yellow and blue Tories. 2016, we vote with our hearts. We vote for the socialist candidates and we build the socialist movement. Thank you.
And now it comes to the vote. A lot of people have been asking me out, we're having coffee and lunch and stuff, just about, you know, how this is going to work. So I'll explain it, and I think it'll be quite clear. What we'll do first of all is, in the order that we did the summing up, we'll start off with taking a vote on those who are in favour of the Socialist Party motion. We will then move to those in favour of the Cardonald motion, and we will then vote on the statement. Obviously, depending on how the votes go, there might be things put into that. I'll explain that as we go along. So, you've all got your vote cards. Make sure you hold them up, so that we know that you're signed in and everything, and if not, can you sort that out quickly? And we'll move to... Right, a few people not got their cards. Right, okay. As long as you're registered, it should be fine. Right, okay, as long as you're registered, I didn't know that. That's fine, that's okay. Right, we are now going to vote. Those in favour of the Socialist Party motion, please show. Those in favour. Those against. That's overwhelming, the one by the against. So that goes. We're now going to vote for the Cardonald motion. Those in favour of the Cardonald motion, please show. Those against? That's passed overwhelmingly. We will now move on to the statement, which will now include the Cardonald motion. Those in favour of the statement with the Cardonald motion, please show. Those against? That's overwhelming again. So we now have the position where we have adopted the statement incorporating the Cardonald motion. Thank you, comrades, for such an even and sensible debate. I'm sorry we're going to lose some of our colleagues, but I hope that we can mend that at some point. And we're now going to move on to have a discussion about the elections next year, the Scottish Parliament elections, but I'll make a couple of announcements before I do that, because I can see some folk are ready to go, and there's quite a few important announcements to make. We've got the national demo, Bairns Not Bombs, in Glasgow on Saturday the 4th of April. That is going to be a big demonstration. Assemble 10:30 and march at 11, George Square. The rally starts at 12. So a bit of an important day for all of us that, so try and get there. The big book parade at Faslane is Monday 13th of April, if you can get there. It's non-violent direct action training, Glasgow 12th of April, follows that the next day. And Scrap Trident ballot Thursday the 7th of May. It's just vote out MPs who support Trident replacement. We've talked about that today. So that's some demonstrations and stuff from CND there. Stand Up to Racism and Fascism. This is Saturday the 21st of March. It's an anti-racism day demonstration. No to scapegoating immigrants, no to Islamophobia, no to anti-Semitism, yes to diversity. 21st of March, assemble 10:30, George Square, march off at 11, and it'll be a march through city centre. So that's another important one. The other one is Dungavel. Tomorrow, some of you have heard in the news that there's a hunger strike going on at Dungavel at the moment because of the length of time people are in there, and there are a number of groups, but it's a campaign to welcome refugees who are organising a demo there tomorrow. If you can get there with your banners and etc. 3 o'clock, get there for 3 o'clock, very important. If you can try and get lifts and things, it's a difficult place to get to. Talk to some of the comrades here. Kia.
Transport from George Square tomorrow at 1:30.
They are. That's transport from George Square tomorrow at 1:30. That'll help everybody, because it's not an easy one to get to. And the other one I've got here is, there's flags and badges in sale at the back, and there's also raffle tickets that Lisa's selling too there as well. All go to the funds, so good idea. Hope Over Fear fundraiser tickets are being sold at the back as well. There will be a room collection at the door when we leave to pay for this. Is that everything? I think so. Right, now that leaves it to me to just open up the discussion on the 2016 Scottish Parliament elections. And I hope we're not going to be defined by what happened today in a sense, because we have a lot of good people across our platforms who would make excellent candidates. And what I'm aiming for, and what I'm hoping for, these are my views at the moment, and I hope they're shared and we'll have people contributing to this discussion. I'm hoping that we can stand in every region, have a regional list in every region across Scotland, under the name of solidarity. That's what I'm aiming for. I want to see us building up towards that. Already some branches have started meeting and recruiting members. Tommy's been around some of them recently. I would like to see branches springing up again all over. Supposing you've got to do what we've done in our area, instead of having, a North Ayrshire branch. At the moment, we're working with an Ayrshire branch, and it's working for us because we are recruiting members and we are building there. So I think, we want to see that across the whole of Scotland, and I would say if comrades have a problem with getting started, contact one of us to help you, either myself, John, Gail, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, Tommy, but get in touch with someone from the executive, Gordon, Morgan, whoever, and find out who your branch organiser is, because most branches should now have an organiser. That was done at the last conference, who will be able to help. And if you're having difficulty with advertising through Facebook and stuff like that, I'm sure there'll be somebody there to help, because if we want to really make an impact on the 2016 Parliament elections, then we really have to have vibrant branches that are active, that are out there, recruiting members, giving the message across to people in their communities. We need to do street stalls, we need to have events where we get speakers along, we need to make sure that we're promoting a socialist agenda, the agenda that we want to see for the Scottish Parliament. Some of the things that have been talked about here today, anti-Trident, anti-austerity. We're a party who looks to see if we can get a bigger word in from the people, the ordinary working people, the droves of them that have voted SNP and will be voting SNP and who have joined the SNP. And as I said to Philip earlier there, you know, we're going for this strategy for these elections, but come next year, our strategy is going to be very different, because we will be exposing some of the things that we don't like about the SNP. And I don't see that as a contradiction, I just see it as a means to an end. I see it, comrades, as a way forward for us to be able to deliver what we would like in socialism, where there is a genuine chance of getting people elected off a list. Because of the proportional representation, we're not stuck in a rut as well with the Westminster elections. It's totally different, and the messages that we've got to give out are, let's get our young folk into work, you know, because I'm seeing the misery. I'm seeing the misery of young people. North Ayrshire got one of the highest youth unemployment in the whole of Scotland. It's devastating, it's sad, it's depressing to see young people full of hope. You know, you speak to them, they've been given the opportunity to start a wee job, and it ends up it's a 0 hours contract, and the heart is taken out of them. And you watch them and you see that happen in front of your eyes, and it is so depressing. We need to do something about that. We need to shout about what we want for our young people. Also see young people in poorer communities failing in education. We need to have good policies there as well. We need to be looking at why is that happening in our communities and what can we do about that. And we need to make sure that we are there, ready with the alternatives, with the ways that we would like to see things happening, that they are the priority, as they should be. I also see old people isolated in their own homes. That's something else I think that we need to really address. We have a whole host of things that we need to do in policy making and formulating our views. We've got the bones of it all, but we need to work really hard to make sure that we've got all of that we have everything that we want to put across. Social housing, you know, picking up the poverty in communities, everything that's there, bed blocking, everything that's being discussed just now. But remember, NHS isn't evolved, so is education. You know, we need to shout for more. We want more powers, we want independent Scotland, but until we get that, we don't want the wishy-washy ideas that we've got here. You can have some of the benefits, but not all of them. Well, if we've only got some of the welfare benefits, we're never going to succeed in the aims that we would have. Likewise with the economy, if we don't have it all, then we're never going to succeed. So we've got a lot to fight for, and an awful lot that we need to do. In order to do that, we need to start meeting and talking about policy. We need to say, as I said already, build our branches up as best we can. I mean, the people there, they will come to us. They might be in the SNP just now. They came to our meeting in Irvine, quite a lot of them, and they were hoping to change the SNP, but honestly, they will move away from that and they will come to us. It'll happen. I'm quite sure of that. So there's a whole lot there that we need to do to recruit people in and to get ready for these elections. It's not going to be easy. We'll need money. So we need to do fundraisers. We don't have anybody funding us, we've got to do it ourselves. So we need to start thinking about branch fundraisers, national fundraisers. We need to raise the profile as much as we can. If we are serious, then we need to work hard. You can't do this without a hell of a lot of hard work. We've done it before, we can do it again, but we really need to work. We need to work our tails off, and we need to be very, very organised. I'll leave it at that and let people come in and give us a wee insight into maybe what's happening in branches, where you're heading for next year for the Scottish Parliament elections, a wee discussion. We'll not go over time with it because I think people would like to get away on time, so we'll manage to do that. But any contributions, just to get a wee discussion on that, I think would be good to set us in the right direction. We've got this Westminster election to go over with first, and then we need to really get ourselves geared up. It won't be long, it will come before we know it, and we need to be ready. Thanks, comrades.
Are there any comments want to make a contribution from the Rotary or any plans that they have? It's no compulsory, but limited.
Branch in the last two, branch. The last two elections, Scottish elections, I've stood as a candidate in this region, central. Even though I'd escaped for Bellshill, I get dragged back at the last Scottish elections, and I think we ran a really excellent campaign at that point, and we got a very decent percentage of the votes at the time as well. But I think it's very important that we start May, June, post the general election, that we start to build the profiles, have the selection meetings as quickly as possible post the general election, so that we know who the candidates are going to be for each of the regions, and then start to build their profiles in terms of the list seats. Because we need to become much more savvy, and I think we have shown that we can do that through the Hope Over Fear campaign in relation to the use of social media. So I think as soon as we can, to select the candidates for each of the regions, and then to build their profiles throughout those regions using social media and the press, so getting their names out there, getting public meetings organised in each of the areas. And where there isn't yet an infrastructure, and we've spoken to some people today who want to set up local branches and whatever, I think it befalls on the more experienced comrades to go and help those newer members to build. They've got the energy to get out there in their local communities, and I think it's our responsibility as more long-standing comrades to go and help to build those campaigns and to get the branches up and running, because we need that infrastructure in each of the regions. So I think what we need to do is we need to do an analysis of where are we strong, where are we weak, where do we need to do the work, and let's get on with it. Thank you.
Any other contributions? Anybody else want to talk about that area? As I say, it's not compulsory, but you're welcome to it.
It's Tommy from the Ayrshire branch. As we know, all of us Scotland and other councils are under pressure. Not just the workers, but even the ones at the top. We give them an alternative, they know what it is. The PFI contracts are killing Scotland and all these islands. The PFI contract can be dissolved. It can be done under an independent Scotland, but we are not SNP pressure points in Westminster. That would be by telling them there's no more contracts, we don't need it. They don't provide the service, and it's overpaid wages. And for companies who don't even provide the service in the area. So they're not accountable. You get it back to the councils, it'll be fine. But it's got to be done with the workforce in their own council. If that is not done, there is no accountability. Okay?
Anyone else? Comments? Yourself, man?
Anne Edmonds from Edinburgh. I didn't mean to speak again, but as nobody else came forward, rising from what Rosemary and Lynn said, I'd like to tell everybody that there is no activity at all in Edinburgh, in the Lothians region. The party is just not functioning. I think I'm probably, I don't know if anyone is from Edinburgh here, please show me. No? I'm the only person who's come over from Lothians. Now I know that Donny Brookman and Penny and Aisha from the Socialist Workers' Party platform were intending to come, but there is a demo in Edinburgh today against the Scottish Defence League, and they chose to go to that instead. So there would have been people there, but we never have any meetings in Edinburgh, and it's just defunct. I've actually handed over all the accounts, the financial accounts, to Gordon Morgan today, and I'm going to send him a cheque for £73.22, which has just been sitting in the bank account ever since we had the last meeting, which was in February a year ago. So I'm going to take this up with Gail Morrow, obviously, but I just thought I'd tell everybody so that if Gail does organise any activity to try and revive things in the Lothians, some of you might be able to come along, because we desperately need solidarity, not just in the west of Scotland where it seems to be flourishing, but we really need it over in the east part of Scotland.
Thanks, Anne. Any other contributions? Yourself? June?
Just following on from what Anne's saying, I'm really unaware if there's a solidarity branch in anywhere in West Lothian. So I agree with you, Anne. They're kind of struggling. There's a lot of people asking different questions about solidarity and the socialist movement as a whole. So I work in Edinburgh, Anne, and I'd be more than happy to help you out until
any further contributions? Trish?
Just quickly to say that I think we need to remember not everybody does social media. I'm a bit of a dinosaur and I don't do Facebook and Twitter and whatever. So can I say the last conference we elected a member, I think it was a secretary and a couple of secretaries. Can the secretaries of Solidarity remember that they need to maybe send emails to people like me, but for older people as well, maybe a letter. Okay.
Any final points? Well, if there's no final points, I'll take the opportunity to make a few closing remarks. We've got a lot of work to do in parts of Scotland, and it's just given us an indication of what is required in Edinburgh. We have got members of Solidarity in every part of Scotland. We've got several hundred members of Solidarity who pay subs on a monthly basis, and who consider themselves Solidarity members. What we've been lacking over this last couple of years is organising as Solidarity. We've been organised in loads of campaigns. I can recall the first few tentative approaches that were made to myself in relation to the campaign against the bedroom tax, and people saying, should we have meetings as Solidarity, a political party, against the bedroom tax, or should we build a broad campaign that is not party political against the bedroom tax? We decided to do that because we thought it was better than being a party political campaign, but we then went on to have 96 meetings across Scotland that we could have been building Solidarity with, but instead we were building the bedroom tax campaign. Now, whenever you do one thing, it's always an overhead. It means you don't do another thing. We then went into the independence referendum, and again I've got to say, I think rightly, we decided to fight the campaign based on building for a yes vote. Initially, we tried to be part of the broad yes campaign, and then we were told that they didn't really want us. Maybe we weren't of their particular ilk. So we built a whole over fear campaign. We ignored what they said on high, and we went down below, and I think we got an absolutely incredible response for that. But we didn't do that as Solidarity, we did that as hope over fear. So when you put all the effort into that, it means you're not putting effort into building Solidarity as a party. We now, I think, have to have an idea from May the 7th onwards that instead of building other campaigns, that we try and build Solidarity as a political party. I think we've earned the right to build our party. I think we've earned the spurs to build a party, and I would appeal to each and every one of you to become involved in that process. And for those of you who are new here today, and there are many of you, very, very welcome. The good thing is you're joining a party that has got a wide variation of members, different experiences. You put your shape on it. You build it the way you want to build it. What we're looking for is to build a socialist party of people that want a socialist Scotland as part of a socialist world. That's the principle. How you choose to build it is up to you. It's not something you're joining and you have to do it somebody else's way because that's the way it's always been done. You have got the breadth there to build it the way you want. So I would really appreciate if you would do that. The other point I just want to make about the Scottish Parliament election, not everybody's aware of this, but for the purposes of the Scottish Parliament election, you're getting two votes. One's called the list vote and one's called the first past the post vote. For the purposes of the list vote, Scotland is divided into 8 constituencies. They're called the 8 regions. Each of those regions are supposed to have 400,000 people roughly in them. Glasgow as a region is straightforward. Lothians as a region is reasonably straightforward. Truth is, some of the other regions are geographically a mess. Because you've got West Scotland, you've got Central Scotland, you've got Highlands and Islands, maybe that's not as much of a mess. You've got Mid-Scotland and Fife. A lot of areas which, by the way, are geographically huge. And some parts of those areas don't have anything in common with other parts of those areas. Unlike, as I said, the Glasgow region, where mostly everybody in Glasgow, Lothians region, mostly everybody in Edinburgh, and some of the surrounding areas. So what I would ask you to do is start considering, what region are you in? What region are you trying to build Solidarity in? And think now, okay, we're not going to make a decision until maybe 9 months from now, but think now, who is going to be your candidate for the list? Who's going to head up your list? In Glasgow, in Lothians, in Mid-Scotland and Fife, in West Scotland, in Central Scotland. Who is going to head up that list? The truth is, in order to win election next year, you're going to have to get 6% of the vote. 6% of the vote. Why? It's not possible. It's not impossible. Many of us in here used to be in the SSP. In 2003, we never just got one person elected. We got 6 people elected. It is possible to do. So please think about that now. Who's going to be the best candidate topping that list, and who can we unite around and build towards? I would ask you to bear that in mind, because 2016, we've earned the right to put forward the programme of an independent socialist Scotland. Put people first before profit. That's going to be the slogan. I'm going to finish in perhaps a wee bit of an embarrassing finish here, because I'm actually going to ask you to join me in a wee song. Oh, sorry to pull the raffle. How many winners is there for the raffle? 14! 14! To be fair, people put a lot of time into the raffle, a lot of time into the prizes. I will be fast, folks, right? And then I'll embarrass you. First winner, if they what they do, go and pick the prize. You go and pick the prize, yellow 93. Yellow 93. Why did you pick it? Yellow 93. Oh, they're all the same colour. Oh, sorry, so forget the yellow bit. 36. 286. 391. The prizes are all at the back. Go and pick a prize. 310. 189. 89. 94.
Thank God. We checked them all.
246. Oh, we do low now. 22. Oh, because it's your age, Kerry. Because it's your age. 100.
Hey.
3 more prizes. 3 more prizes. 35. Second last, 103. And the last one is 271. No? Is it not been picked? Oh, right, you see, right. Put it back in. There you go. Draw again. My favourite number 4. Number 4.
Yes, all the things.
Folks, thanks to everybody that was involved with the raffle. That was brilliant. I think Lisa was the main organiser, and she did great getting on the prizes. Well done, Lisa. Folks, I'm not going to give you a history lesson, but way back in 1871, there was an uprising of workers in Paris, and they took over the running of society. They set up a commune that was called the Paris Commune, and it was the idea of workers' control, everybody being free and equal, and they built a commune based on those ideas: liberty, egalitarianism and freedom. There was a woodworker involved in that campaign, many other workers as well, but there was a woodworker who, after the fall of the Paris Commune, wrote a song that was as a tribute to the idea of workers' control, a tribute to the idea of freedom, of equality, a tribute to the idea of liberty. That song has become known as the Internationale, written by a French woodworker. It's very traditional among the socialist movement to use that song as an indication of a commitment to freedom, a commitment to unity, a commitment to change. And it is traditional that we sing that song at the end of our conferences. I I would ask you to be upstanding. And I'm going to lead you off. We've got the best voice in the world. Those of you who have never sang it before, please don't be embarrassed, you're among your friends. Don't take your key from me, because I am tone deaf. But here we go. Arise, ye starlings from your slumbers. Arise, ye criminals of wands. For reason and revolt thunders, and at last ends the age of cant. Away with all your superstition.